Am I live? Yep, I am. In any case, I've had this game sitting in my library for a while, and I figured I might as well play it. See, I've got this whole kind of mystery theme for the month of March, so I'm playing things like Persona 4 Golden and Blueprints. And according to the Steam page on this, there's a mystery tag, so I'm assuming this is a mystery game. So, let's let's play, shall we? Not sure what to expect. I haven't really played a visual novel since Umineko like 15 years ago or some shit like that. So my character is Daphne, and she is supposedly starting life anew in the French countryside. The star or the globe? The sun and the moon. So, you're determined then. Yes, I think I need a fresh start. This inheritance, it's the perfect opportunity to finally turn the page. I know you've convinced yourself of that, but are you sure you really know what you wish to achieve with this move? After all, you recently went through a major trauma, and there's still a lot of ground to cover. Between you and me, you know, you know what I think of your decision? Between you and me, you know what I think of your decision, but I can't prevent you from leaving. Have you found a job there yet? Yes, I have. Substituting for a math teacher at the village middle school. A maternity leave, 6 months. That should give me enough time to get my bearings. Don't you mind giving up your PhD? Your research career was quite promising. I know nothing about her. I would say I don't know. If I was in her shoes anyways. I don't know. I guess if it turns out to be a mistake, I can always come back. There's no harm in giving it a shot. I see. One last thing. I know your relationship with Frank is quite tense. It is. You know, the breakup's still recent, and I always counted on his support. After so many years together, I need time. I suppose you're aware that you're about to break all ties with him, probably for good. Are you sure you won't regret it later? Did you at least inform him of your plans? Hmm. Now, if it was me, I would say this. So if I put myself in her shoes from now on, I'm gonna say it's none of his business anyway. No, I didn't. And it doesn't concern him anymore. Alright. Listen, Daphne, you've got my number. Please don't be afraid to call me if you feel the need. I'm counting on you. Okay, I will. Then I suppose all I can do is wish you the best. When are you leaving? Tomorrow. August, huh? I'm leaving tomorrow. I've inherited the family house. My grandmother's. I didn't know her, and now I never will. My mother had cut all ties with that side of the family. The only side, since I never knew who my father was. I remember the birthday cards though. My mother had hidden them between two piles of laundry in the linen closet. If the bond was broken, it wasn't my grandmother's fault. And here I am, 10 years later, inheriting a big house 300 miles away, when I too have severed all contact with my own mother. That's what they call karma, isn't it? The other PhD students asked me to meet them there at the bar. I could also go see Frank to say goodbye. I told Dr. Durant I didn't want to tell him I was leaving, but this is my last chance to do things right. Am I really sure of my choice? Of course. I could also just go home. What should I do? Well, since my friends invited me, we should go to the bar. I went to the bar to meet the other students. I didn't have the heart to refuse. I've never really fitted in with this small group. In fact, they only really think about their own academic success. I know I'll miss my research, but on the other hand, I never saw myself having a brilliant career. Despite their cool, laid-back appearance, they'd slaughter each other for an article in Nature, probably without even batting an eyelid. I've never really belonged in this environment. I only wanted to advance science, to do my bit for the future. It sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. Science will have to make do without me, and I don't think it'll be missing out on much. I thought they wanted to surprise me, to throw me a leaving party. Then again, I haven't told anybody. except for my research supervisor. He seemed a bit stunned at first, and then, not too bothered. I should go. I have a long drive tomorrow. So she did not end up hanging out with her friends, or whatever she calls them? That's it. Everything I own is packed in a couple of boxes. I wish I felt sad about leaving, but actually, I don't really care. My last night here, I don't know what I hope to find there. A fresh start? That's what I'm trying to convince myself. Perhaps Dr. Durant was right. Maybe I'm just avoiding the real issue. Did my mother feel the same when she left my grandmother's village 30 years ago? Am I following in her footsteps too? Despite myself? The difference is that she had me. Me? I'm alone. I'm overthinking this. I've taken my decision. I can't afford to go back. I can't undo what I've done. I'll try to get some sleep. 300 miles. I got up way too early. It's going to be a long journey. Little by little, civilization slowly gives way to empty spaces. The highway is replaced by interlacing small roads, and the clear directions given on the major routes become a hit and miss search for clues, which gets more and more arduous as I near my destination. The road goes through the village, which I cross in a few moments. I thought I was getting away from the agitation of the city, but all this peace and serenity feels like it's hiding something sinister, almost ominous. After a couple miles, I turn onto a dirt track, overrun with weeds. I go through the gates marking the limits of the family domain. Then, on the right, I see a small stone house. That must be the lodge where the wardens, a couple, live. It was specified in the estate accounts that notary made me sign. I decide to leave the car there. I don't feel like driving all the way back in reverse if the track turns out to be a dead end. Walking a bit further, I see a man coming toward me. He's carrying a rifle and holds a dead rabbit by the ears. Hello, miss. You're on private property. Did you take a wrong turn? I'm sorry. I must be lost. I'll turn around. Wait. Are you Miss Delatour by any chance? Yes, I am. How did you guess? You're the spitting image of your grandmother. Well, when she was young, I mean. I'm Gerard Bortine, the warden. Nobody told me you were coming. Is the house open? No. Well, yes. It's been a couple months now since Mrs. Delator passed away. My wife Gilberte and we've made sure everything's weatherproofed, but the door isn't locked. Really? Well, the only path goes past our house, and there aren't many visitors anyway. The villagers usually avoid coming up here, you know. Why? Why do they avoid the house? People get worked up over nothing around here. An old lady living alone in a big house who doesn't go out much. That's enough to make 'em talk. Thank you. I'll be in the house if you're looking for me. I'll send you my wife, Gilberte. She'll help you open the shutters. Just follow the path. It's not very far, and you can't get lost. See you later then. About 100 yards further on, the path into the wood ends, and I see the house standing in a kind of a clearing. Although several generations of Delators have lived here, for me, this is the first time I've seen the estate. The building is impressive, with the tower at the center of the facade, the last vestige of an earlier castle, and surely the origin of my family name. As promised, the door is unlocked and opens onto an entrance hall plunged in darkness. As I cross the threshold, the chill of the old stones strike me, slicing through the searing heat of the midday sun shining over the garden. Despite the gloom, I can make out the edges of the room, intimidating in its vastness, which makes it a change from the tiny city apartment I'm used to. I'm struggling to open one of the windows to let light in when a voice from the entrance startles me. Miss? An old woman stands at the threshold. Yes? My husband told me you were coming to the house. Are you planning to stay for the night? Much more than the night. I'm moving in. Oh, and please call me Daphne. I'll get more than enough miss when I start work at the school. Did they tell you about the succession? So you're Madam's granddaughter then. She used to talk about you a lot, you know. I remember you. Well, I mean, it was a long time ago. You were still a baby when Miss Sophie left. Madam never got over it. Well, I'm sure you've got a lot to tell me, but can you do it while you help me open the shutters? Oh, of course. I'm sorry. So, are you moving into the castle? You're going to work for the village school, aren't you? Oh, of course. I'm sorry. Yes. I'm a math teacher. I'm going to teach there. Well, at least for the next 6 months. As a substitute. So, tell me, how do you want to do this? I mean, I know you've been working for my grandmother, but I'm not sure I can afford your services. If you see what I mean. The inheritance barely left me enough to cover the cost of the house for a couple of years. Oh, don't worry. Gerard and I retired 2 years ago, but Madame didn't forget us in her will. She was kind enough to leave the lodge to live out our days. We'll help as long as we're able, my husband and I. We've done this all our life. Hard work doesn't scare us. Anyway, we'd be bored with nothing to do all day. Alright, your help is welcome. Well, that's great news. Without help, I don't know how I'd manage to get everything done in such a big house. And we'll be happy to give you a hand. Would you like me to get you some groceries from the market tomorrow? I used to do it for Madame. She didn't go out much. Not after Miss Sophie left. No, don't worry. I'll go. It'll give me a chance to check the village out. Mrs. Bortine helps me put clean sheets on my bed, the windows, now wide open, let out the musty air while ushering in the golden light of the summer's evening setting sun. Then she leaves me alone for my first night in my new home. I spend the evening watching the antique television in the kitchen while eating a leftover sandwich I bought earlier on the highway. I try to sleep, far from the reassuring sounds of the cars and the lights of the city. The forest silence only broken by the unsettling squeak of floorboards and the hoot of a hunting owl. I'm predictably grouchy the next morning, and if the sight of the empty fridge hasn't driven me to action, I would have succumbed to the inviting comfort of the sofa and wasted my day napping in the living room. The market. It wasn't exactly what I'd imagined. We all have romantic notions of picturesque little country markets, but this one was purely functional. Nothing romantic about the butcher's stall, nor the fishmonger's radio tuned in far too loud to a local station that seems to broadcast at this hour of the day a playlist of songs that used to be popular but now are utterly outdated. I'm buying some bread when someone barges in front of me. Give me 3 baguettes and 2 loaves of nut bread. Sliced, please. I'm sorry, but I believe it was my turn. This will only take an instant. Don't worry. I'm a pretty easygoing guy. I'd probably just suck it up, bite my tongue, and just let him do it. Let him do his thing, even if it sucks. I don't care if it takes an instant or 10 minutes. If you're not from around here, are you? What does that have to do with anything? Listen, miss, you really ought to educate yourself before starting a scene. It's kind of embarrassing. See? I'm done already. It didn't take that long, did it? Have a nice day. The man slips a bill into the baker's hand before disappearing down the street. Ooh, my throat's getting real dry. Seriously, who was that guy? You're not from around here, are you? He's Maltaire's son. His family owns a sawmill that employs half the town, and the other half are all in business with them, one way or another. Does that give him the right to behave like that? You shouldn't cross the Maltaires, you know? They've been in town for generations, and people say all sorts of things about them. What kind of things? Strange accidents, businesses going bankrupt. People are pretty superstitious here. Excuse me. Really? Well, this is the countryside. I suppose a lot of people here still believe in that kind of stuff. People are free to think what they like. I'm leaving the area soon, so you'll understand I don't want to get involved. The others told me to watch out for that family, and I don't want any trouble. See. I realize I've already been here a few days, and I haven't taken the time to visit the house properly yet. With my busy schedule, I've confined myself to the main rooms, going from the bedroom to the kitchen or living room. I ought to take advantage of the weekend to give myself the grand tour. Maybe I'll learn more about my grandmother and this family that I know so little about. I could try asking Miss Bortine a few questions too. Up till now, she's been very evasive. If I go see her outside her work hours, she might be more inclined to answer me. She's a very discreet woman. Somehow, she manages to never be in the same room as me. If I leave the kitchen for a while, to take a shower for example, when I come back, I always find the debris from my breakfast has been cleared away, the table has been wiped, and the dishwasher is humming gently. I've told her several times not to make my bed, that I'm perfectly capable of doing it myself. She acknowledges me, but keeps on making it anyway. I guess she might enjoy a friendly visit. Where should I start? Let's check out my mother's old bedroom. My grandmother lived alone in this big house, so she kept most of the rooms shut and just stayed on the ground floor on the left side of the building. I've taken over her living quarters, and with nights getting colder, I'm glad I don't have to keep the whole house warm. I look over to the other rooms, the parlors on the ground floor, and the multiple bedrooms upstairs. Everything seems frozen in time. The furniture is covered with light linen sheets, perhaps waiting for better days to return, like the days before Adelaide was a widow and my mother still lived under her roof. Her old bedroom hasn't changed. It's still the room of a teenage girl, even if I can see that someone had hastily made room for me, the baby about to be born. There are still band posters from another age pinned to the walls and the crib where I might have spent my first few nights before my mother decided to leave. But there aren't any white linen sheets to protect the furniture in this room, and it looks as though it's been cleaned up very recently. What should I do next? Let's check the tower. I couldn't find the entrance to the tower. I searched inside and outside the house, but no door seems to lead into it. After randomly exploring the corridors and the rooms, I had to admit defeat. I'll have to ask Mrs. Bortine about this mystery. However, while I was searching for the damn entrance, my feet took me down to the basement where I discovered a treasure trove of old wines. The most recent bottles were around 30 years old. I guess my grandmother was much of a drinker, and the wine cellar must have remained untouched since her husband passed away. Did my mother come here during her teen years, defying her parents' rule, to steal a bottle to share with her friends from the village? Was I conceived during one of those parties, celebrated by sacrificing these rare vintages on the altar of youth, with my mother Sophie not sober enough to resist the charms of a young local farmer? When I was old enough to ask her, she always told me, with a dismissive wave of her hand, that my father was from the village and hadn't wanted to recognize a child he hadn't asked for. All in all, she said, we were better off without him. Maybe I could bring a bottle to Mrs. Borton. As I take a bottle from his shelf to decipher its dusty label, it slips from my hands and smashes on the ground. Suddenly, I am overwhelmed by the feeling as though I was violating something sacred, trampling the memory of my grandfather, who might have selected this precise vintage to celebrate something special. I began to question my intentions. Am I offering this bottle as an honest mark of affection towards a kind old lady? Or am I planning to get Mrs. Borton drunk so that I can extract information from her? Let's take another one. A white wine. She should like it. And anyway, I don't have to drink myself into a stupor with Mrs. Borton. I'm sure I can drink responsibly. What should I do next? Good morning, Mrs. Borton. How are you doing? Oh, hello, Miss Daphne. My joints ache a bit today. It must be the colder weather. Summer always goes so fast. It's almost fall already. Can you believe it? But that's enough about me. You haven't come round here to listen to an old woman complaining about her aches and pains. How can I help you, miss? I visited the house, gone into every room, and I noticed all the furniture has been covered with white linen sheets. Yes, it was Madam, your grandmother, who asked me to close most of the rooms. She lived alone in the house, and she never had any visitors. It was to prevent the furniture from being damaged. Why are you asking? You want me to open up the rest of the house? No, that's not why I was asking. One of the rooms, I'm guessing was my mother's old bedroom. Why wasn't it closed like the others? It was what Madam wanted. You know, when Miss Sophie left, it broke her heart. She was never the same afterwards. Until the day she died, she never gave up hope that your mother would come back. She asked me to make up her room every day, just in case, she'd say. Something else? About that tower. I couldn't find the entrance to the tower. Do you know how to get inside? Well, I couldn't say, miss. No, I couldn't tell you how to get in if my life depended on it. Madam, your grandmother said that it'd been walled up and that we were better off not knowing what was inside. Do you mean that no one's been inside the tower for what, 30 years? 40? Goodness me, much more than that. I'm 67. I've been living here since I was 14, and the tower's always been that way. So nobody knows what's in the tower. But surely you must have some idea, don't you? You must have heard talk in the village, right? Well, it's just gossip. A waste of breath is what it is. What are you talking about? Please don't press me, miss. With all due respect, I won't dirty your late grandmother's name with that nonsense. Something else? Tell me what it was like in the old days. Before my mom left, I mean. The end was already in sight when your mother left, if I may say so, miss. There were only your grandmother, Madame Adelaide, and Miss Sophie living here. Your grandfather died when your mother was still a little girl. An illness took him without warning. The doctors couldn't do anything for the poor man. But back when I arrived here, things were different. There were lots of people living in the castle. Cousins, uncles, aunts, and a whole gaggle of children. So what happened? I don't really know. It just happened. There were unexplained deaths, accidents. Some of them left the area, and we never heard from them again. Everything started to go downhill when the Malters bought the sawmill. There must be a connection. It seems crazy, don't you think? It can't be a coincidence, can it? I couldn't say, miss. All I know is that when the Malters flourish, the Delators wither. I met Malter's son at the bakery. That loud? It's none of my business, of course, but you should be careful with him. He's a good-for-nothing who spends his time doing goodness knows what in his car. Oh, be fair, I hardly know the guy. I'm sure he's not that bad. It can't be easy having a family like this. Now, while we're talking about the past, maybe you'd like to see the old photo album? Absolutely. Tell me where they are and I'll take a look at them. Thanks. They're in the cupboard, in the living room. You'll see. There are even some of your great-grandfather's old photos. Something else? I found this bottle in the cellar. Would you join me for a glass? Oh, I'm not sure it's very wise, miss. Please. I insist. It would be my pleasure. You wouldn't make me drink alone, would you? Well, all right. If you insist, but just a small glass for me. Something else? Let's get fucked up, huh? Can I top you up? It's a bit early in the day, miss. I'm not sure it's a good idea. I'm buzzing off a bottle of wine. Let's go. Come on, you're not going to stand in ceremony, are you? Just one more. Alright. I suppose a small one won't hurt, will it? It's the first time I've drunk a bottle from the castle cellars. It would be a pity to let it go to waste. And it's the last one, or you'll be calling my Gerard to carry me home. Don't worry, this is just between the two of us. It'll be our little secret. Something else? Sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. I'll come back later. I found the photos where Mrs. Bortine had told me they would be, and I discovered that my great-grandfather had an early passion for the darkroom, and that his photographs from the last century had survived time. The family was larger then, with a swarm of children in the gardens and large tables at the holiday gatherings. If worry could be read on their faces of the adults, if the future ruin and dereliction of the House Delator could already crack the walls and yellow the wallpaper, it didn't show in these old daguerreotypes. I found a couple of pictures of my mother, first as a child, then as a young girl. The discovery of this treasure moved me. I had never before seen what she looked like when she was younger. The final pictures show her belly getting rounder and rounder, and then nothing. No more photos, as if nothing worth documenting had happened during the last 30 years. The conversation with Mrs. Borton aroused my curiosity. The tower, the village, the Maltese, and I thought my relocation would lead to a life of austerity and isolation. I have to admit that what's going on in the village is far more intriguing than I anticipated. Unfortunately, the realities of everyday life catch up with me before I have time to look into it. I'm obliged to spend the last days of August preparing for my classes at the middle school, and I hadn't realized how much work that would involve. So I spent most of my time shut up in the house, buried in the textbooks for all the new classes I've been given. Then, at the first day of school arrived, and despite a few difficulties, after a few weeks I began to get my bearings at the school. Life fell into a routine. The days passed by like trains. Alright, I think I'll stop here.